Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Korean Starleague. I am your host, Nathanias. We've got ourselves a little Terran versus Protoss. Been a nice Friday, casting some StarCraft 2. I believe the next Korean Starleague is going to be played live late tonight. I will probably be incapacitated in some form by the time that rolls around, though. So I'll be doing the replays of that next week, most likely. We're in one of the semi-final matches for this week's competition, and two players I couldn't be more happy to commentate. I get to bring my Terran bias out now, and also my love of quality Protoss play. In the bottom left, we have Classic. In the top right, well, you know I'm a hoe for Gumiho. Had to get that in there. Had to get that in there. Sorry about that. I get excited when I see Gumiho. Not only is he my favorite GSL champion, he's, well, he's just so fun to watch. And we've seen him do some crazy stuff. We've seen some interesting things happen, including from him in the Korean Starleague. So let's just wait and see. We are playing on Ancient Cistern, which is a synonym for toilet, as I always like to remind everybody. Probe is trying to be a little annoying. Gumiho going for the Reaper expand. He's getting tag teamed. Oh, careful. And there it is. There's the expand. So Classic's Nexus is on the way. Maybe the only thing worth pointing out, he did go Cybercore before Nexus. So typically the Nexus is a little bit further ahead of the command center. But now the other side of it becomes the Adept, which Chrono boosted out. I think some more calculations used to be done on this opening. Once upon a time, the Adept opener was balanced by maps. It's kind of crazy to think about, you know? It's like how Liberator range is completely balanced by maps. The upgrade itself is otherwise broken on the majority of maps that existed before the Liberator was patched around. But the fact that it on itself kind of controls that much of it was always a huge thing. But he's going to defend the Reaper with the Adept. Once upon a time, people used to put the Gateway at the front of their natural just to finish my little tangent. And they would chrono the Adept out. That's what the Cybernetics Core first build. That was one of the things that made it a build. But also Parting's Blink build was also the other big one. If you like winning games as Protoss and making one unit, Parting 4-gate Blink strategy. I think it's called like the Max Packs 4-gate Blink strategy now. Very, very good. Very good. But here's what's interesting. Gumiho just straight to 2 racks, even has the eBay, and he opens up with Marauders. So he's not worried about Stalkers with Marauders, of course, and he's not really worried about Adepts. But it is kind of interesting to see that he opens with no concussive shell. He just builds 2 Marauders. Like they're just regular units, and there's no greater purpose. They don't have any destiny. They're just there. I don't know. There's something about that I find unsettling. Blink is halfway done. More Stalkers are on the way. The Adepts can give a little bit of vision if necessary. Robotics facility starts, so you can of course do some sort of observer-based play there. Thanks, Romanovsky, for the 91-month sub. Yeah, we use Windows sound effects for our alerts because I'm very cool. I'm very cool. I'm hip and I'm with it. No bunker. The fact that he doesn't get concussive and he builds no bunker is just fascinating to me. Like you just need to have such levels of confidence to be like, I'm gonna make 2 Marauders and that's it. And then we're just good. You thought your PC was shutting down? I hope you know that's the Windows XP boot up sound and not the shutdown sound, okay? Absolutely no Windows power user would be fooled into believing that was a shutdown sound. I don't know why I'm bullying you, I'm sorry. I'm an elitist Windows power user. Oh god, what have I become? That's not true, Lou. I dual boot Ubuntu. I do most of my StarCraft on Ubuntu. At least until I had to figure out a new way to route audio over LAN from Linux to Windows. That's a new challenge I'm trying to figure out. If any of you happen to be audio gods, I would love that. I'm currently using Voicemeeter Banana. I'm using V-Band for audio routing for the gaming PC to the streaming PC. It works very well. But there is no Voicemeeter for Linux, so... There is no Voicemeeter Banana on Linux. A guy in chat told me the other day there was, and guy in chat was wrong. Just so everybody knows, guy in chat whose name I forgot led me astray. Which, of course, means the internet is wrong, since guy in chat is never wrong. So, it's time for us to march on Google and ask them to fix the results, I suppose. So, Classic's taking his third base. Yeah, we could probably talk about the game a little bit. Nothing really crazy was happening for a while there. I don't know if y'all noticed. Gumiho's just been chilling. He's got a ton of bio units now because of his build, but he hasn't done a factory opening. It wasn't a medevac drop opening, so he couldn't get across the map. He couldn't apply pressure. He couldn't really do anything. And now he's going to scan and see, oh my god, you have 4 High Templar and Psystorm. So he scans and kills the Observer. He's going to load up for a drop, but if he walks into the storm, he's going to try and pivot for a drop now. As Classic doesn't have the vision. He's not sure where he's coming from. Sends the Adept to the top. He sends the Adept up topside. Now these 2 pylons are powering 4 gateways together, so it could be a nice little shutdown in production if he could turn that off. The Warbins will be spent very quickly. There's the storm though. And oh, he tries to sidestep it. Actually does get one of the High Templar. Now he's going to go into the third base with the rest of the bio. I can't believe he juked the storm. I really thought he was going to run away. Now he's inside both bases. Loads up a full medevac worth out of the main. I can't believe he saved a full medevac worth of units there too. Kills 11 probes and Gumi. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas to me. I've always wanted to say that, but Rotterdam told me he'd break my legs if I did, so that's not true. But I imagine that that's what he said, which is basically the same thing. Official Blizzard casting guidelines state you cannot make Gumi ho 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 jokes. You can only make regular ho jokes about him. I never really understood that one. Something about Santa Claus. They have a different Santa Claus over there. I don't really know. I don't really understand. I just work with what I got. Ghost Academy is coming in with +2 attack. And Widow Mines. So playing in kind of bio mine style. It's a little bit, it's not really low tech because there's some high level tech being used. I kind of like ranged liberators for these situations, but Widow Mines are cheap. They build really quickly. And anybody who's ever played or watched Terran vs. Protoss should be aware that Widow Mines absolutely dunk on everything. The only weakness of the Widow Mine is that it has to siege, and then you gotta go in range of it. Other than that, the thing is a freaking god. I love Widow Mines. But is it gonna be enough? This is a huge attack coming in from Classic. He wants to get the counter. The spread so far has managed to get away from the Zealots. Mine shots are going to drag onto some of the medevacs, however, and a couple of the bio units. He doesn't really have time to heal them. Big storms coming out. Now the Ghost finishes and lands a fatty EMP on every single High Templar, except the one that was in the Prism. So he's got one more storm, and the bio has been ripped to pieces. SCVs coming off the line in fisticuffs to deal with this, but it's not going to be enough. Zealots eating some of the mines into the SCVs. Classic is on the production of Gumiho. He is losing his racks, and that is game. Classic takes the first one and just bops him. Just comes out with the tire iron. Wow. Ooh. 90% of the Templar EMP'd, but one storm is all it takes. Well, when you only have one medevac and it has no energy and you stim your whole army, one storm will kill everything. That's just the way the good Lord intended it. I think that that's really, really tough when you play for the big bio, but you only have bio and you don't really have liberators, you don't really have the ghosts, you don't really have anything. That's never going to be an easy spot. Let's go to game 2. So we've got in the bottom left, leading the series 1-0. He's Classic. It's like that song, You're So Golden. It's like, you're so classic. I don't know. There's probably like a million songs about things being classic, I guess. It's not really that interesting of a tangent, Nathan. In the top right, You've got the blue Terran player. He's Gumiho. GSL champion, all-around good guy. Won the record, actually, for being the fastest to be able to climb a tree. Weirdly enough, there just happened to be a Guinness guy on the same corner as him when he saw a tree with a cat in it, and he had to save the cat's life, and there you go. It's kind of a fun fact. Gumiho is apparently a competitive level tree climber as well, which I never really would have thought, but if I'm ever running away from a bear and I need to spiritually ask someone for help, now I know I can telepathically reach out to him, and he'll probably just say, "Who dis?" As far as the builds are concerned this time around, nothing crazy yet. Classic did go for Core, then Nexus in Game 1, so I'm kind of expected here. Yeah, there it is. So, Gateway, Core, then Nexus. This gives Protoss the fastest access to their technology, and you still expand faster than a Reaper expand, so there's very little downside to it. The build time difference is maybe equivalent to a probe, maybe 2 probes, depending on how you open, if you get a Zealot or not, if you're saving up to Chrono as soon as the Cyber Core is done. And Gumiho is, wow, is he feeling the pressure? Building the command center in the main base, 1 Reaper, then 1 Marine. He's not interested in any shenanigans. Royal Blood. There's no ramp leading into your natural, so you just get poked on the outside if you don't make a bunker, and then if you do make the bunker, the Adept usually tries to shade behind, just get the SCV that's building, and then you just kind of trickle SCVs down one at a time. Nobody really enjoys the dynamic. So sometimes you'll see the Pro Terrans just build their command center in their main base because they want to move the Reaper out, but they recognize that because it was a core first build in Game 1, then it could also be a core first build in Game 2. And since it was that, again, the Adept could have been a huge pain in his butt if he just sends the Reaper across and builds on the low ground. So the Adept for Classic trying to chase this Reaper, but all Reaper cliffs on this map are marked. Every single one. There's a white fence blocking every other spot. It's like a little, I don't know. I don't think the tile work is that great, but contractors, right? Reaper goes into the natural. Let's see, we've got 5 probes here. There is a Stalker that just finished in the main base, going to try to come down to deal with it. Gets booped out the way. And now making his way over to the main base. So this is what Gumiho wanted to do. He's kept his Reaper on the map. He's been poking and prodding. I think he sees the Twilight Council, but Blink has only just begun. And there's nothing that can really poke him in his natural. It can be really hard. It can be really difficult. But yeah, he won't be able to land that easily, but with the Widow Mine and the Marines on top, he can kind of hold the door. Reaper is going to come out now, back towards the main base. Notice how the Adept kind of blocks, sends the vision shade up. And he's like, yeah, just come down and trade, bro. Come down and trade. Let me kill 1 or 2 of your Marines. I know you need every single one. I know you need them all, so why don't you just give me a couple? Gumiho's like, well, I don't want to give you a couple Marines. Classic's like, why not? Gumiho's like, well, I'm trying to win the game. Classic says, fair. So am I. So he comes back over. And Gumiho wants to know if and or when a 3rd base will be taken. Because that's a huge deal to him. The Widow Mines are loaded up into the medevac. Gumiho's about to bring the drop like it's hot. In a way, you almost want the Stalker to keep poking you so that you can, I don't know, distract him, and I think that's what he does. So the Reaper's going to run into the natural expansion. There's about 5 Stalkers here ready to catch it. Widow Mine drop goes into the main base, though. Uno and Dos burrowing. It looks like the probes are going to be able to detach. So just gets a single probe kill with the mine shot. It's going to pull back with the medevac now. No, actually coming in for round 2. Hoping to get the probes on the restart of the mining. So he takes the shot immediately on Burrows, gets back in the medevac, and Blink is done in 3, 2, 1. There it is. So now, it'll be way harder for him to do anything like that. But on the other hand, if Classic wants to defend, he kind of has to leave a lot of stuff at home, right? To deal with the mine drop, one Stalker won't stop him from just dropping over and burrowing. Same thing for 2 or even 3. So this is where you need to be careful. Classic is getting out on the map. He's got Blinks, trying to poke the Stalkers. He kills about 3 or 4 Marines. I think he's going to lose 1 Stalker here, maybe 2. And then he should just be running away with the rest of these. I think if you're Classic and you trade out all of them, that's... Oh, geez, Louise. Okay. So he gets 1 more than I thought. The Widowmine drop comes back into main, or natural, rather. Gets two more probes. Really good reaction time. Classic manages to do that micro while we're watching that fight. You and me, we're watching that fight with the drops and the Stalkers on the side. Classic is fighting for his life out here. That said, there's a big upside for Gumiho because he's a Terran player with a similar number of workers to the Protoss. And perhaps the biggest advantage that Gumiho has in this game is that he is a 2-base Terran versus a 2-base Protoss. Classic might have some ability to counterattack and get aggressive, but stimmed bio with SCVs is very hard to deal with. And he's got a little tank Marine shove coming towards his natural. Might even just try to elevate her into the main. Tank finishes in Gumiho's base, dies. But these little spatters of Marines with SCVs buffering for them do a lot of damage, and the recall is going to get forced to the natural, but will it be enough? He depowers charge, depowers the robo facility and one of the gateways that would be used to try and stave this attack off. The rest of the Stalkers are going to come in from behind. Look, he's going to have 1 chance, 1 opportunity. Blink onto the tanks, snipe it, and then somehow kite all this bio to death with nothing other than Stalkers. Your robo facility's dead. He's going to catch a reinforcing medevac. That's pretty good dub there for him. But this is it. Gumiho's going to bring the Marines back over to the tank to try and protect it. Buckle up onto the army. The tank is gone, but so are the majority of the Stalkers. And Marines, man, the men with the guns stimming and grilling these probes off the mineral line. Even though Classic holds, I'm not sure you can really call this a hold. That's like saying you survived because the other guy ran out of ammo, but he already turned you into Swiss cheese. So, I mean, it's, you know, when you're playing Halo 3 and you're 12 years old and it says that you got stuck with a plasma grenade, you know, you didn't win because your opponent's out of grenades. You're still blown to pieces. So now Classic has a really difficult dilemma. He wasn't able to delay the 3rd this time. He wasn't really able to get his own 3rd fast enough for it to matter, but until Classic's 3rd is up in mining, Gumiho is under no pressure to move out. He just needs to scan, see what's happening. He sees the Templar. I don't know if he wants to build ghosts or not. If you get a lot of tanks, you can use those to deal with Storm in a way. He's going to jump the Stalkers outside of his base. Don't think he's going to get any of them, though. He might try to load up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the approach here is for him. He's going to float his 3rd command center out, though. And maintaining any kind of economic parity with Protoss is very good. So I'm getting some Game 3 vibes here. Getting some Game 3 vibes, which I love to see. I love to see my boy Gumiho go up against Classic. These two have been playing in quite a few of the Korean Star Leagues. I know they've got a KSL Summer Smash coming up, which is also the name of the Nathanias branded cocktail at the event. I just made that up, but man, that sounds cool now. Stalkers are going to try and get some high ground on him. 2 Marauders try to run forward and snipe the Templar, so he gets a little bit of damage. There's not much more Storm left. I think there's just enough energy for 1. And the tanks are all spread out. So that's the thing. You don't necessarily need the Ghosts if the tanks can zone. But the units that he's using to draw the Storms out and do the poking, they are dying. So that's what makes it a little bit rough. So there's the Archon Morph, brings the rest of the bio over, and Classic taps out. GG, Gumiho ties things up. I'm not just a wizard who can see into the future, ladies and gentlemen. That's not really how it works. What I'm trying to say in earnest is that, yeah, well, he spread everything out. If all the tanks were stacked, you know, there's a highlight where the Templar just storm from up top, right? On that middle base. A lot of those are like, you walk in, but you don't have any guarantee you're going to be able to walk out of there. That's a long alley to push your opponent through. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Now let's get into Game 3 and let the players do the talking, huh? Wow, Nathan, it's so cool that the players do the talking. Yeah, it is. It is cool. In the top left, we have the red Protoss player. He's Classic. His opponent in the bottom right, the blue Terran player. He is Mr. Gumiho. good back and forth TvP. You love to see it. You love to see it. And it's always funny because so many people are still talking about like the Colossus thing. Again, I'm not 100% sure if they've been playing these with... There is a third-party mod that like fixes the Colossus bug. I don't think tournaments are playing with that yet. I don't want to think that they are yet, but I guess they could be, so I'm not 100% sure. Gumiho going for Brax and double gas. Classic, checking for proxies. But obviously, there's a distinct lack of Colossus in the games that we've seen today from Protoss. So either Protoss players don't want to use it because they're scared it'll get changed, or the custom mod thing is being used. That's what's really frustrating, I guess, about that, right? Could you imagine trying to change all your strategies to use the 10 range Colossus, and then you find out the tournament's like, actually, LOL, no? It's going to be really hard to practice without laddering, I think, for some of these guys. If you were a Terran or a Zerg, you could almost go into the matches knowing your opponent won't build Colossus because they're not sure. Something dark about that. Well, actually, I think Dark's on the other side of the bracket. Never mind. Cybercore is finishing up for Classic. Not been one to open with the Zealot. He has loved going Cybercore before Nexus, and he continues to do so. It is the Adept once more. Now, Gumiho has changed things up a smidge. Not a ton, but a smidge. So he goes Reaper into Reactor, and then Command Center on the low ground. Now, did he see anything that made him believe he could do it here? No. I'm guessing that he just expects a little bit of a more standard opening on Grezvan. It's not like it matters too much. The Reaper is always going to run into the Adept or Stalker if they go for the core before Nexus. That's one of the reasons that build is so popular. You can shut down a lot of Reaper play with it. And we've just got a Reaper trying to kite an Adept across the map. Not easy. Not easy to do at all. I like that he sends the shade back towards the cliff in the main base just in case. Wait, he made 2 Reapers. He made 2 more Reapers and a Hellion, and then a Tech Lab, and then a Starport. Okay, there's something about this that I really like. He's got some very early pressure with the hit and run units. And that there is something kind of exciting about that. There is something kind of exciting about that. Let's see what he can get done. Oh, yep, there you go. He's just going to run by everything. I think if you are Classic, you're a little blindsided by this. He just kind of just cranks out 2 Hellions and 2 more Reapers and then just YOLOs onto the probe line. 4 probes get popped. Oh, the Hellion made it into the main base. Yeah, this is disgusting, actually. So now we've got a 2-base Terran. Once again on an even number of workers with the Protoss, or close enough. If you're a Protoss player and your opponent has mules, you're not really ahead income-wise unless you're ahead like 6, maybe 8 probes, I think. Each mule mines like the equivalent of, I think it's like 3 SCVs, depending on the dropping the final load or not. So Gumiho's going to set up a drop. 1 tank and 4 Marines. It's kind of interesting. It's the kind of drop that could work just microed against regular gateway units, but I think it gets a little tougher. I think that play becomes much more difficult once Blink is done, but it's not ready yet. So there is a window here for this to do something. The Reapers are trying to keep the Stalkers out of the base. He's kind of trying to bait them. It's like, come forward, move out onto the map, do your thing. And then let me drop a siege tank in your main base mineral line. And we know the tank will pop the probes very, very well if it gets a chance. So there is the drop in the main. That tank is sieging. And it will one-shot probe, so he's just going to target fire with that. He's not really worried about the Stalkers. He just wants the damage. Understandable enough if you're going to sack the tank. And even in that moment, recognizing, okay, let's get the medevac out. The siege tank did its job. 10 probes died. I think the Reapers are there and the natural as well. I'm very good at catching all the action, as you can tell. Goodbye, Mr. Reaper. Hardly knew ya. So Classic has an observer by the 3rd. There's not too much going on here, but I think it's probably got to be something aggressive. He has Blink very quickly. There's not much of a setup to take a 3rd. He could go for it. He has the probe there. But there's a world where he jumps in on this one tank, and then, I don't know, things kind of get ugly. So he's tucked it into a spot where the tank should be able to shoot the Stalkers at least once. Oh, he's got Obs vision. The Raven timing, that actually really could not be worse. So the Adept moved into the natural, and he was going to blink into the main. But instead, the Adepts just moved into the natural and died, and he couldn't blink into the main because the Observer was totally going to die. So things starting to roll very nicely in Gumiho's favor in this game. He's got his upgrades coming through. And a 3rd command center. Meanwhile, Classic takes his 3rd Nexus, so they're kind of hand in hand, toe in toe with their economy. Again, that's a strong indicator for the Terran. So Classic, he's going to try and do the miracle thing all the Protoss players do. We have the Disruptor coming out. They got the Colossus. Let's see, the Extended Thermal Lance. The Extended Thermal Lance. So I think we might see a cheeky 10 range Colossus in this game. That would be pretty hot. And all Classic can really do right now is just try to contain Gumiho and just say, you can't leave your base. You're chilling here with me. And then he comes right across. Oh, look at that pickup drop micro. Wow, that's kind of filthy, actually. Oh, no, no, no. Okay. Not. Woo. I gotta catch my breath after that. You really medevacing that tank ahead? Really? The lowest health one? Are you kidding me right now? He kills the Disruptor. That's absolutely brutal. I don't know. Yeah, Classic just has to try and stop him from crossing the map, but that's not going to happen. Gumiho's like, all your units are on the wrong side of the field. So he's going to run into one Colossus. Forget 10 range. This one has no range. Interference Matrix drops. Oh, don't worry. There's enough energy for another one if it somehow survives this. Don't worry. Oh, don't worry. He'll be interference. He'll be matrixing your interference all day. There it is. There it is, the next one. So now the battery's gone. He says, if you want to kite even further, that's great too, but I'm just gonna jump on your army and kill everything. So probes are starting to die. Let's not forget the tank in the back. Well, that does get picked off by the Stalkers, so not the worst trade there. This Observer can see the reinforcements coming through. Classic trying to save. He's doing his best. He's got 5 health. He's got 5 health on the Stalker. This is like the least fun possible position that he could be in. He is doing everything he can to make this work, but it's such a hit him from the north, hit him from the south, hit him from the north and the south Calaris kind of situation. Widowmine's going to burrow, not in time. And we do have it. It is the 10 range Colossus, so now we have our confirmation. Now we know. Trying to depower the Warpin, maybe? No, okay, just going for the probes. That's fine, too. Sends the army back over towards the 3rd one more time. And he is just spreading everything out. Widowmine's going to take out his Sentry, deal some damage to the Stalkers, rest of the units inside the main base. The Raven shows up. Oh, he got it on the upside of the base, manages to get the interference. There are a couple of very exposed pylons that Colossus had to run away for, 11 seconds? That ridiculous long-lasting ability. And he is, I feel like he doesn't matter how he trades it out anymore. Gumiho has taken a disgusting lead. He's on 3 bases. He's got all the money in the world he could possibly need. 61 SCVs to 38 probes. Look at this Widowmine. Guess who's back? Disgusting. And he still has the Raven, too. So if the army approaches or goes near the observers, he can clean those up as well. Gumiho's so fun to watch. I know some people were clowning on him because they've described his TvP style as like he just kind of plays Stone Age or whatever. He doesn't really like to build the Ghosts or the Vikings or the Liberators for that matter. And I actually think that that's a fine way to play. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do think ranged Liberators are absolutely busted versus Protoss. And that's the only thing I would like to see. Otherwise, this is very fun. This is very fun to watch, I think. Probably to play. Just pure bio with Widow Mines is just a joy. Colossi are very strong against Widow Mines, though, so that's maybe the one thing you're really worried about is the Colossus. And he's got some range. He's parsing him apart. The force fields are coming through, but Gumiho with the full Xbox 360 surround hits him from all sides. And that is game. Gumiho with the 2-1 victory.